Okay, so I'm getting a lot of questions on how to water Japanese maples and how often. Today it's been a cloudy day but extremely hot here in the UK. It's into a good week into July. We haven't had rain for about 2 or 3 weeks here, and I've been watering the potted Japanese maples every evening when the sun goes down, just before it gets dark, when it's nice and cool. The main part of watering is basically the compost and the pots themselves where the roots are. You can water the leaves, but only do that 2 or 3 evenings a week. The most important part is keeping the compost damp, keeping the roots damp from drying out. Once those roots really dry out for too long, you're going to have major problems. So you always keep the compost damp. So as I've said for the last couple of weeks, I've been watering every evening. If you're living in hotter countries than the UK, Europe or some of the zones in America, you're possibly going to be watering morning and evening. I didn't water these last night because I'd been watering quite a bit and were still a little bit damp, so I didn't want to overly water. So basically, because our tree hasn't had watered for 2 evenings, I'll give that a good soft spray, let that soak in, and while you're busy going to another tree. The tree I'm watering now is a 4-foot Acer Yasmin. Now this should have been really repotted earlier in the year, so this is quite compact with roots, so there isn't a great deal of compost left in the pot, so you can tend to gauge and you get to know. So this one dries out very quickly. The more roots in the pot I've found, the pots will dry out quicker. The little Atriparium here was potted just over a year ago, and this one's fine. You can see the water there, it's nicely sinking through, so basically it's going to go and leak out the bottom. Remember, you've got to have holes in the bottom of your pots for drainage. So basically you get to gauge that water going right away through. So basically that'll do that tree now until tomorrow evening. The bigger pot, as you can see there, some of the roots in the front, surface roots. I'll give this a better drink. And basically I like the water to settle for a few seconds and then carry on watering until I know the tree's had enough for this evening. Because it hasn't been watered for 2 evenings, I'll give this a good drink, because I know these roots are quite compact now. Normally I wouldn't water this much. I would water just like the Atriparium, but I want to make sure the bottom of the pot, which is only about 7-8 inches deep, those roots are getting a good even water from the top of the pot to the bottom. That's quite a substantial amount of water, and I've quite flooded that in, to tell you the truth. But I know this pot could be a problem pot if I don't water too much. I've got 2 or 3 trees in the garden which need repotting, and I found they dry out very quickly. Acer behind here, again, this could have been repotted earlier in the year. Acer has quite a